of us who would hear a beautiful recitation of the Quran or sit to listen to the akhirah and what awaits us when it comes to the grave and all of the stages of our life, starting from the grave all the way to Al-Jannah, inshaAllah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst the dwellers of Al-Jannah. When you hear about all of those things, you get emotional. And that was the case where the people of Banu Israel, when they sat in front of Musa alayhi salam in that speech. After a man approached Musa alayhi salam and asked him, Ya Rasulullah, O Prophet of Allah, who do you know is the most knowledgeable people on earth, person on earth? He says, I do not know of anyone who is more knowledgeable than I am on earth. فَعَاتَبَهُ اللَّهُ. And Allah Ta'ala wanted to reprimand Musa alayhi salam. Why? Because وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. There is not a knowledgeable person except that there is someone who is more knowledgeable than he is, until you reach the real source of knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's supposed to say, Allahu a'lam. See? This is the answer. And that is an etiquette that we should carry with us. Allah is always the most knowledgeable. That is why those who have mannerism with Allah, most of the scholars, when you ask for a fatwa, they will tell you what Allah Ta'ala taught them in regards of that very issue that they've given you a verdict in, the fatwa. But at the end, to have that mannerism with Allah, always say Allahu A'lam. Because if you don't, it's as if you were saying, I'm it. What I told you is it. You don't need any further research, or you don't have to look any further. Beyond this point, I gave it to you all. All of it in detail, you have it. But that's not the case. That is why when Musa alayhi salam said that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Jibreel immediately to tell him, Ya Musa, I have one of my slaves and servant who is more knowledgeable than you are. And then in that very statement, we have to be very also careful the way you word that statement in of itself. We will clarify that as well. Because then you should not in any way, shape, or form jump to the conclusion to think that Al-Khadr is more knowledgeable than Musa alayhi salam. Not in any way. But Allah Ta'ala wanted to make a point. And عِتَابُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى لِأَنْبِيَائِهِ هُوَ عِتَابُ إِصْلَاحِ. When Allah Ta'ala reprimand the prophets or any of the righteous people, it is a way to guide them back to the right track. Not so to humiliate them. Not in any way, shape, or form. طيب? And he said, Oh Allah, how can I get to this man? How can I reach this man? He says, go to the junction of the two seas, Majma' al-Bahrain. You will find him there. Then he packed and left. Let me pause for a second. No matter how knowledgeable you could ever be, you are never too big to look for knowledge in your religion. Musa alayhi salam, up to that point, he was the source of knowledge in the religion of Allah for all of Banu Israel. For the first time, he is packing to be student. Instead of being a teacher, he's packing and to go to look for a teacher for the very first time. With all the knowledge that he has, and as big as he is, and as major of a prophet he was, alayhi salam, he was not too big to go and look for knowledge. Meaning that we are more worthy of that attitude when we don't have even the elementary knowledge about our deen, and then we think we have it all. We're never too big to learn, ever. And even the people, the scholars of hadith, they say, one of the rulings that they have, they said that for a scholar in hadith will not be eloquent and he will not encompass the whole art of the science of hadith until he would have received knowledge from people who are above him and below him when it comes to the level of knowledge, both. See? يَأْخُذْ عَنِ الْأَكَابِرِ وَعَنِ الْأَصَابِرِ, until he will get that knowledge about the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ from those who are above him, far more knowledgeable than he is, and those who are below him. Because that will teach the person so many qualities. So many qualities. Those who are above the individual will teach the individual how to be humble. See? How to be humble before someone who is better, greater, more knowledgeable than you are. As for those who are less, far below than you, then that will teach you to really crush what? Your arrogance. Get rid of it. So you don't really even think that, oh, I'm better. No, you crush that. That is why you need to go and learn from those who are less knowledgeable than you are. The point. Musa alayhi salam backs with his helper. Who is he? The Sunnah, in the Surah, in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah Ta'ala did not mention the name of Yusha ibn Nun, but the Sunnah did. See? Yusha ibn Nun, who would be later a prophet as well. We'll come to him inshallah. They both backed and left. And they took their journey to look for Al-Khadr. Where is he? The junction of the two seas. They got to that point. Musa alayhi salam asked, "Oh Allah, what sign do I have?" But for us we would say, "Come and see me at Masjid Sunnah." Where is Masjid Sunnah? Well, it is at the corner of this street and that street, and look for this and do that. Same thing, you want some landmarks. Address. Where exactly in that? Because when you come to the junction of the sea, the whole parameter of that area could be hundreds of miles. It stretches so far right and left. But he said, when you come to that junction, you landmark the sign that he is at that very point where you're supposed to meet with him, is when one of the things you will pack with you is fish. Take some fish with you. Fish you will eat. You know, it's already cooked, ready to eat in a journey. But you will notice, you will have it in a container, but when that fish comes to life, cooked, it's a fish that is already cooked, ready to be consumed. But Allah Ta'ala told Musa alayhi salam that your landmark is when you see that fish jump out of that container and Allah Ta'ala put life back into that fish and it will jump in the water, that's the place where you're going to be meeting Al-Khadr. And he did exactly the same thing. That's why he put in charge Yusha ibn Nun and told them, watch for this. When the fish comes back, then that's where we're supposed to wait for Al-Khadr. They did the same thing. They came to that area where the rock is, and then they rested in there. Musa alayhi salam, exhausted from that long journey, took a nap and went into a deep sleep. Yusha ibn Nun stayed awake, and then all of a sudden, he noticed that that container started to have some movement in it. And all of a sudden, that very fish jumped out of that container and made its way towards the water. Saraba. Saraba is a tunnel of water. As if there is, you put that fish in a tunnel of water and it's making its way. He was so amazed. He was extremely baffled. He could not wake Musa alayhi salam. He said, when he wakes up, then I'll tell him. But he forgot. That's why he said, because when Musa alayhi salam woke up, then they packed and then they left. That's the point when the meeting point, the junction of the two seas. But Yusha ibn Nun and Sahu Shaitan, the Shaitan made him forget to tell Musa. Then they left. They had surpassed that meeting point with a day and a night journey far off. And that's when they came to rest. They said, لَقَدْ لَقِينَا مِنْ سَفَرِنَا هَذَا نَصَبًا, that this journey, that it is so exhausting for us, get us our meal. Let us have our meal. And that's when he remembered. He said, do you remember when we last resting area that we had next to that rock? That's what happened. This is what happened. You start telling them. He says, Alhamdulillah, ذَلِكَ مَا كُنَّا نَبْغِي. That's exactly what we were looking for. And that is the meeting point with Al-Khadr. And then they retrace their journey back to that point, and that's exactly where they found Al-Khadr. And this is the story of Al-Khadr starting with Musa alayhi salam. He said, Assalamu alaikum. He says, وَهَلْ فِي أَرْضِ سَلَامٍ. Al-Khadr, Musa alayhi salam greeted him, Assalamu alaikum. He says, I don't see any salam in this land, because nobody greets anyone with that greeting except a prophet or someone who is connected with the creator of the heavens and earth. He's the one who would give that kind of greeting. And then he says, who are you? He says, I'm Musa. He says, Musa who? Now this is the lesson. Who is this Musa? He says, I am Musa of Banu Israel. Now this is 2 minutes ago, or rather the source and the reason why Musa had to take all this journey is because of a statement he made, thinking that if you are the most knowledgeable, then you have to be a celebrity, meaning that every single corner you take, everybody knows who you are, your face, your resume precedes you, and then everyone knows who you are, what you look like, and all of it. But this is not the case. See? Al-Khadr didn't even know who you are. I don't know who you are. Musa who? And that's when he had to tell him that I am Musa of Banu Israel. And he says, what are you doing here? Now, here is in this hadith, Al-Khadr is telling Musa alayhi salam, what brought you all the way out here? When Allah Ta'ala has already given you a Torah, كتبها بيده. Allah Ta'ala wrote that Torah for you with His own hand. What are you doing here? You don't need anyone. He says, I came to learn some of the knowledge Allah Ta'ala taught you. He says, إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. I don't think you have that patience to really handle what you will see of the knowledge that Allah Ta'ala taught me. Because the manifestation of what I know, of what Allah Ta'ala taught me, I don't think it is anything that you can handle. He says, you will find me, insha'Allah, sabira. وَلَا أَعْصِي لَكَ أَمْرًا. Inshallah, you will find me patient individual, and I will not disobey you in any way. He says, then let's have an agreement. And it's another lesson for you and I, that whenever you want to embark on any project, small or big, with any individual, you have to set the rules. Especially, you will find that most of the problems that break out amongst the people is a result of them coming into some kind of association around the business, partnership in a business, whatever it is. Even in marriage, you will have problems breaking right and left as a result of both elements, both individuals walking into that partnership without any prior agreement. They just wander into it, dive in with their noses in it without any, and that's why they go into, once they find